afternoon, and thank you very much for the introduction. And I'm very happy to have a chance to discuss my ongoing research because I just finished another conference in Italy a few hours ago. So I just come from Europe, and I found out the keywords due diligence and migrant worker and forced labor are so important all around the world. So we are discussing with different kinds of working group, but we focus on the same question: how can we realize the equality? How can we have the social justice? Is I think it's the main concern we have. And I also found out because I heard many different kinds of representation in Rome, and yeah, I would say it's different but the same. We have different kinds of difficulty in different countries, but we are facing very similar problem in the global economy. The situation. Okay, so because I have read a paper, but a draft, and not finished, but I just want to use my 20 minutes to share some ideas with you, and I hope to have a discussion because I don't have a real conclusion, because we need to try to think about how can we do with our common future. So I offer, first of all, some keywords for my research. And first of all is, of course, we mentioned, I joined the panel in the afternoon, not in the morning. I missed some, very good presentation, I'm sorry. But I already heard some very keywords as the migrant workers. And today I will take the migrant fishermen in Taiwan as a case study. But we find out that the problem is forced labor. And how can we deal with that if the migrant workers in a supply chain? Not all the migrant workers working in a supply chain, just like the domestic worker in Taiwan, is also a very big problem. But they work in the private household, and they are not in the supply chain. But it's still a very serious problem. So because today I want to connect my idea with migrant workers and supply chain, is why I take the migrant fisher in Taiwan as my case study. Okay, and because I haven't do the empirical study, but do a legal study. So in the end, I try to find, is there any kind of strategy, not a solution, but a strategy, how can we deal with that? So I'm just thinking about the new directive from EU, the CSDDD, or we call just CSDDD. Is that a new possibility for us to deal with the problem of forced labor? Is that? So this is the keywords I want to offer for my research and my presentation. Okay, as soon as I take the migrant fisher in Taiwan as a case study, so I want to first explain the situation in Taiwan, because I think the supply chain in the fisher industry is similar, just like in our country, but our Taiwanese government make it very complicated. Yeah, they have many new creation in our legal framework and makes the human rights or legal labor rights for the migrant fisher very, very complex, much more complicated and difficult than the local or domestic workers. Okay, so if you read the news this year, Taiwan is listed again from the United States for child and forced labor and for the fishers product. That means our government claims they have worked for the forced labor problem since many years, at least since 6 or 7 years. But this year, still again, listed on the forced labor list. So we have read many reports in English from our government and say we do a lot. We now have a national action for human rights for fishery in Taiwan. So how can that happen? How can we still be on the list? But I will say, please don't just read the report by our government or for a scholar. They will say everything positive, but they didn't discover many things. I will say it's illegal. Yeah, it's really illegal because we have different kind of legal framework. That's why I say our government make everything very complicated. Okay, so it's many different kind of legislation. So I'll try to explain in an easy way. First of all, Taiwan in the distant water fisher industry, we have different kinds of situation. First of all, is a vessel, fishing vessel, flagged by Taiwanese flag fishing vessel. It's just the situation. Another one in Taiwan, we also have the so-called FOC, flag of convenience. That means is invested by the Taiwanese people, Taiwanese company, but they have another apply for another flag, like in the Panama or the Venezuela. So many different country, and this is another issue. But today I just want to only focus on the Taiwanese flag distant fishing vessel, because this will be a part of the so-called floating territory of Taiwan. So that means the legal framework from Taiwan will also apply to this fishery company in theory. Yeah. Okay. So we take the situation, and now the fisher, on the fishing vessel, this is the case why they are listed on the forced labor list from the U.S. And what is the situation in Taiwan today on the vessel? I would say the distant water fishing vessel, most of them are from they are migrant workers, and most of them are from Indonesia. And our next panel, Jonathan will explain the situation. Another Jonathan will explain the situation. And you will see the migrant fishers from Indonesia, from Philippines, from Vietnam, they are working on the Taiwanese fishing vessel, and they are facing the problem of forced labor. Okay, and yeah, this is the problem we have. And what I'm going to discuss today is how can we deal with the problem. We have still so many different kinds of legislation, but why we still have the kind of forced labor? Yeah, okay. So, okay, this is the thing. Okay, and I would say in Taiwan, we have a very important legislation called the Labor Standard Act. And then we have a working time protection. We have a minimum wage. We have occupational safety regulation. We have a termination protection. Yeah, almost everything in the Labor Standard Act. And this Labor Standard Act also apply for foreigners when they're working in Taiwan. So according to the Labor Standard Act, they don't divide it to the working people into domestic or foreign. No, if you're working in Taiwan, then the Labor Standard Act should apply. Yeah, this is it's already over 40 years. This is the thing, and I think you may say, okay, that is very easy because I'm talking about the migrant workers working on the Taiwanese vessel. Then it's very easy. Labor Standard Act, and we have everything. We have working time protection. We have minimum wage. But the problem is, they in theory, that never happened. Okay. Then we can say maybe the labor inspection didn't function very well. So we can try to improve the labor inspection. Then we have solved the problem. Okay. But the problem is, I say our government. I would say exactly, it's a Ministry of Agriculture, because the fishing industry belongs also to the NOA, and the fishing industry were in charge of everything from the fisher industry, including the migrant fishers. And then we have a new regulation, and this is, I would say, this is a new creation from our government, from the NOA. They say we have Labor Standard Act. It's applied to everyone when they work in Taiwan. It doesn't matter if you are a foreigner or a Taiwanese. But the fisher industry is a very special industry, very dangerous. They need a special protection. So they have created a so-called overseas employment system for migrant fishers, only for migrant fishers. Yeah. Okay, and that means if you work on the distant water fishing vessel, and then you are employed overseas, this is just a legal term used by our government, then you will have a very special protection, not according to the Labor Standard Act, but according to the regulation from MOA. Yeah, it seems that the Taiwanese government has find out, okay, the fish industry is something very special, so we need regulation. And they have did many things, also regulates the labor rights. So I want to make it easier, not so complicated, but you will see here, if you work in Taiwan, in the fish industry, in the coastal and offshore area, Labor Standard Act still apply. If you work in decent water on the vessel, and if you are nationality Taiwan, Labor Standard Act still apply. But you are come from other country, in overseas employee, then you will have the overseas employment regulation protection. And we will say it's a good. We have 5,000 something very special for the migrant fishers. But that's why I make this graphic for you. You will find out the minimum wage in Taiwan, we have minimum wage regulation. And for the migrant fishers here, you earn only $550 per month. But according to Labor Standard Act, you should have $857. There's a big gap. Yeah, and what's the reason? Just because you are foreigners or just because you are employed overseas, but you sign a contract overseas, but you are still working on the Taiwanese vessel. So it's also a part of Taiwan's territory. I can never understand the logic from our government. So I don't want to go to the detail because it's a very legal thing. I just want to say, just like how you just discussed, yeah, the dispatch worker, yeah, it is also a creation from the government. It's the nature for any kind of employment. It's a creation because we have the dispatch workers just also in Germany, yeah. We have the Arbeitnehmerüberlassungsgesetz, just like that, it's a special regulation for the group. And then they were excluded from the protection legal system. And I think this is a problem because they make the regulation for the fishing industry in Taiwan very complicated. And they mentioned they have that kind of protection. But if we don't compare this to our local Labor Standard Act, we will never know. It makes the new regulation from our government make everything worse for the migrant fishers in Taiwan. Yeah, and the point is, this is the creation from the administrative regulation. This is not a law. It's not passed by the parliament. It's only from the government. So that's why I just argue the government is doing something illegal. It's not. I think it's a real problem. And I just read a report from the U.S. because of the forced labor list. I think I found out in the report it's also not clear to tell the difference from the Labor Standard Act is a law, and the overseas employment regulation is only a creation from the government. Yeah, so that's why I claim it's not illegal. Yeah, that's the situation. And why only for the migrant fishers in Taiwan? Okay, so back to my another keyword, supply chain. Okay, because we know we have now different kinds of supply chain regulation, just like in Germany, the due diligence. Yeah, and this year we have the CSVV, and this is very important for Taiwan because just like the fishing industry, the fishing companies are also in the supply chain, and they sell their fishing product to EU states. Then, according to the CSVV, they have the legal impact also for the third country company, the Taiwanese company. Yeah, the Taiwanese company is not a part of the, Taiwan is not a member state of EU. And the fishing company is, they are based on the Taiwanese law. But in that case, if they sell product to either state and they fulfill the requirement from the CSVV, then the directive from EU is also applied to a third country company. Yeah, this is the kind. And I just want to discuss with you that then if Taiwan have very so strange regulation and we want to have an international human standard, we should not look at the Taiwanese legal framework. We should pay attention to the CSVV because in the CSVV the standard of human rights is just they have a list, very long list. Yeah, and every list is based on the International Labor Organization, also the Forced Labor Convention. Yeah, it's an international level. So then will this be a chance for the workers, including migrant workers in Taiwan, then they say if the Taiwanese legal framework cannot protect us, can we to have a chance from the CSG body because it meets the international human standard. Yeah, this is what I'm trying to do because I don't want to just criticize our government and say we can do nothing. We can do many things. Okay, so I don't know how many minutes do I have. Four. Okay, so okay, no problem. So yeah, so the first point is Taiwan is not a member state of EU, but self-security also apply for third country company, just like China company, if they are, the turnover meets the requirements. So in theory, we should pay attention to that. But if the company are not so, they are not they don't meet the turnover from security, they are still outside the scope. And so I want to go back to Taiwan. Then in the global situation, how can we do? I think the first thing in Taiwan we should do is not only to say from the UN GPS, so the UN guideline for human rights, human rights, yeah. Because the due diligence is based on the Pillar 2 of UN GPS. But I think in Taiwan, the most important thing is the Pillar 1. Pillar 1 is the state duty to protect. The so-called state duty to protect means the state should have legal framework according to the international human rights standard, and then the state will protect protect the civil society from anyone to have a negative human rights impact. So if we connect this point, the Pillar 1 to what I just said, the overseas employment framework in Taiwan, I would say our government, Taiwan, did not have fulfill their duty to protect, and they have to do something on contract because they have set a special regulation and it's worse than the Labor Standard Act in Taiwan. And the migrant fisher in Taiwan will not be protected by the special regulation. So I just want to try to do that in my research, also in my action. How can we ask our government to review all the framework and to meet the state duty according to the international labor standard, not according to the administrative regulation we are having now. Okay, so, I'm still trying to do that because you will see Taiwan has a national act plan on business and human rights, and it's a complex plan. But I would say they did not pay attention to the real state duty and is not fulfill the international human rights standard. That will be a problem. Okay, so my conclusion is we will try to make connection from self-driven is only a example. We should try to have the attention to make a connection the Taiwanese state duty and the legal framework in Taiwan, and under the standard of human rights to make a connection. And we will try to explain because we don't have a due diligence regulation in Taiwan, we should try to explain our constitutional legal duty according to the human rights standard. And then that kind of like overseas employment regulation will not exist anymore in Taiwan because it's not meet the standard we are trying to have from the international level. Okay, yeah, I try to make it not so legal, so complicated, but I just say if we have the case study from industry, fish industry, they will know many things we can do in the future. Okay, thank you.